Intel kicked off the CES press day today with a keynote from Muli Edin, obviously focused on Ultrabooks. And we're here with David Kanter. David, you're going to tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the keynote this morning and whether you thought some of those revelations from Intel were really bombastic or whether they were just a lot of thin air.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you, and yeah, I had a very good time at the keynote. It was really interesting to see a lot of the Ultrabooks and really the attention to not just the form factor, but also some of the newer interfaces that we're going to see with Windows. One of the things that I thought was kind of cool was the interface window so that you can see the tiles on Windows 8, and it was nice because you sort of see people designing the notebooks around the interface in a way that synergizes with the OS and with the whole platform, which, you know, in the past people weren't really so good at.
What did you think of Nikiski?
Yeah, that was the demo I was referring to, where they had a window on the back, and that was pretty neat. And it would be really great to see it come into market and see what it's going to cost. But it really definitely shows promise, and you know, it's nice to see that Intel's labs are getting out there with some products that can impact us.
Do you think people will like that Windows 8 tiled? On phones, it hasn't really taken off. So why does Intel think that it's going to take off on a PC?
So, not having used Windows 8 extensively, I can't say from practical experience. But I think in some ways the point isn't necessarily, hey, we're going to put all of our bets down on Windows 8. It's really, we're going to look at the interface, and we're going to look at that as a key point of the design and make it part of the overall architecture. And so maybe it's not Windows 8, maybe it's Android, maybe it's Mac OS, but I think it's just really trying to, you know, going from an off-the-shelf suit to something that's bespoke, and that's sort of more of the philosophy, and I think that's the important thing to take away. And then obviously, you know, as we get later in the year, let's see how the products actually play out and bring that into consumers' hands.
What about NFC? I know that was another thing that he demoed there with the MasterCard, putting your card directly onto a PC and having it sort of, and the security behind that was really quite fascinating. Do you think that that's something that people will start using and won't be afraid to use? Because it's one thing for Intel to say that it's a secure platform and they're working for it, but will people really want to be swiping their cards on their PC?
Yeah, so that was actually really interesting, and I see in many ways I think that actually might have more applications for sort of the business PC market. You know, your laptop for work, you might want to book a hotel, book a flight to get to CES next time, and I can see it being a lot easier to make the case to corporate IT departments. And you think of this as an extension on vPro, right, which we saw a couple years ago. And that really started out with business PCs and then eventually migrated into consumers. Now, it sounds like they're going to be pushing this for both business and consumers, but it may be you see quicker adoption and uptake in the business market, and that will give the consumers the confidence to really be using it. But it did look pretty sweet.
What was your favorite part of this morning, and what do you think is the most promising in terms of getting those Ultrabooks to really be adopted in a big way?
I would say a lot of the new user interface stuff is probably the biggest thing, especially you know, some of the convertibles and trying to come up with an experience that can be both tablet-like and PC-like. Certainly one of the things that has held me back, and you know, I'm actually prefer a desktop because it has a larger monitor and larger keyboard. And so, you know, can the convertibles work? Maybe. And it'll be good to see. And maybe that's a hint of good things to come in the tablet space and how that's going to evolve.
David, thank you so much for joining us as usual. Very insightful. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to join you as well.